Budget 2020 is really unparalleled in history. You look at the deficit forecast for 2020-21, that's $214 billion. Relative to the size of the economy, it's 11% of GDP. If we compare that to what we saw in the 1990s recession and the GFC as well, back in 08-09, you see outcomes of about 4% of GDP. So the current deficit is about 3 times the size of those two deficits seen in history. Really, this highlights the scale of the policy that is needed to try and get us out of the shock that we have been in as a result of COVID-19. So one of the big initiatives of Budget 2020 is the bringing forward of the Stage 2 tax cuts. These are to come into effect from 1 July 2020, and therefore households will receive the benefit of those tax cuts all the way through this financial year. That is as we had anticipated. We had also called for the government to bring forward the Stage 3 tax cuts as well, which are primarily more support for middle and higher income earners, and we are yet to see that. So if we do see a further need for additional policy stimulus, that could be brought forward at a later date. For businesses, there is a number of other important initiatives. The first of these is a full depreciation or immediate depreciation of any sort of depreciable asset that is bought between now and middle of 2022. That's open to businesses with a turnover of less than $5 billion and really is for any asset that's purchased in that period and installed in that time. There's very clearly a focus on trying to improve household incomes and also to provide incentives for business to go out and invest and employ. So the big winners really of this budget should be households over the immediate term and also the longer term as well. So immediate from the tax cuts and the longer term as the job situation improves materially. And obviously you see in the government's forecast that there is a hope that that will come through. Another sort of big winner is that if we get to a situation where the outlook has improved, then there's quite a lot of incentive and value in businesses taking that step and investing going forward. In thinking about those who arguably have received less support from Budget 2020, the people who are currently on the JobKeeper and JobSeeker programs are front in mind. If we look to the economic forecast of the government, what we first and foremost see is the effect of the containment measures that have been put in place to stop the spread of COVID-19. We have seen quite a significant improvement in terms of the growth forecasts in the immediate term. So if we look at 2020-21, there was an expectation that we'd see a contraction of about 2.5% when the July budget update was provided. Now in October, that's now looking at about a -1.5%. So quite a significant improvement. There's been a very similar sized decrease in the expectation around the unemployment rate as well, down to around about 7% currently. But as we look forward, while they are relatively optimistic in terms of thinking about where growth could go in sort of 2022, looking for growth sort of near 5% in the rebound, there is still quite slow progress in those outer years in terms of getting the economy sort of back on track. So growth's around about trend rather than being materially above it. And as a consequence of that, the unemployment rate ends this period, so in 4 years' time, well above its full employment level. So that still suggests there's a sort of a legacy cost there of the COVID-19 outbreak and the recession that followed it, which is definitely a risk for the economy as we move forward.